Welcome everybody to the premiere of your new riveting talk show, Back in Time. We are your hosts,
Emily Albert,
Hina Shrivastava,
and Amrit Salvaraj.
And today we will travel way back when, over 100 years ago, to the Industrial Revolution.
The Industrial Revolution was a time of dramatic changes. The change that occurred impacted all facets of society, perhaps some more than others, but none more remarkable than the impact it had on the lives of women. On today's episode, you will get an exclusive peek into the life of 3 different classes of women living during the Industrial Revolution. Meet Rose Williamson, a British working class woman of the late 1800s to early 1900s. Hello, Rose. Nice of us to have you today in the 21st century. Welcome.
Nice of you to have me.
How about you tell us a little bit about yourself and your personal life? Do you have a husband?
Oh yes, but I barely get to see him nowadays. I barely have the time to take a rest in my own home. Though when I finally do make it home at the end of the day, tired and dragging, I still have to take care of my young ones and attend to my husband's needs.
Why do you have such long days and so little time, Rose?
Even with all these new improvements in turn-of-the-century technology that's supposed to improve efficiency and productivity, I've been breaking my back at the textile factory 13 hours a day. Our family can no longer work together at home the way we used to. We've had to split up and now have to work in different factories for long hours. I even have to find someone to take care of my own children and my little ones that are too young to work in the factory.
But wasn't it usually the man's job to work while the women took care of the children back then?
Not for us working class women. I have to work to compensate for incredibly low wages that my husband has paid for all his hard work. Our horrible economic situation even forces my children to go to the workforce just so my family can get by. It's a bunch of rubbish, I tell you.
That's outrageous. How do they even allow that?
Well, the textile factories are apparently in great need of women and children due to our little fingers and our dexterous hands. We're told we can really work new labor-saving machinery more efficiently than men, you know?
Well, in modern studies, it's been shown that there is no clear advantage regarding productivity to having women and children operate the machines rather than men.
That is bloody awful! Those darn managers have been lying to us, driving us on to work harder and faster, and abusing us all too frequently.
I'm so sorry, Rose. It sounds absolutely awful. I guess that's just the way times were back then for working class families.
I just wish I was living the life of my younger sister. Even though she isn't married, she still works a safe life of a domestic servant for a middle-class household. In addition to enjoying the benefits of living in a middle-class household, she also experiences the adventure and independence I can only dream of.
What do you mean by she has more independence than you do?
Well, while I have no choice but to give all my hard-earned money to support my family, tend to their needs, my younger sister can save up to achieve her goals and dreams. She's aiming to be a high-class secretary, and she's already halfway there.
Well, that's really good for her.
Yes, I guess it is. But life really just isn't easy being in the working class during the Industrial Revolution. Everyone thinks the Industrial Revolution was such a great improvement, but I just think it made our lives harder. From living in filthy, cramped, and disease-ridden tenements to stressed family relationships due to long work hours that kept us apart, far away from home, as well as the incredibly low wages we were compensated with and the many abuses we endured. I'd say the Industrial Revolution was a bloody hard time for those of us in the working class.
Thank you for your time and honesty today, Mrs. Williamson. Nice of us to have you on our show. Everyone stay tuned for Back in Time, the Industrial Revolution edition, where you're going to be meeting a woman from the middle class family.
Now we will explore the impact of the Industrial Revolution on the lives of middle-class women during this time period. Please meet Elizabeth Winchester of Liverpool, England, a middle-class housewife of the Industrial Revolution.
Glad to be here, Amrit.
So, Elizabeth, please tell us, what are your responsibility as a middle-class housewife?
Well, my main role in the home is just to keep the house neat and orderly and to tend to my family's needs. I cook and keep the house tidy and decorate our home with fine furnishings that are so much more affordable now since the Industrial Revolution began.
So you do not work at the factories with the working-class woman? How do these new responsibilities as a housewife differ from the previous work you did at home prior to the Industrial Revolution?
Well, you see, before the Industrial Revolution, women had to work hard from home alongside our husbands and children to manually produce goods that could be sold to support our families. Some women worked tending to their farms, others produced products such as textiles, for example. It was hard work and a slow process, but we worked together as a family from home to get the job done. Once these newfangled machines were invented to do our jobs more efficiently, people no longer worked out of their homes as much. If you came from a well-off family of skilled craftsmen or businessmen or professionals, the men took over as the sole breadwinner for the family, and the women, like me, stay at home and tend to the children in the household.
Do all middle-class women stay home to cook, clean, and care for their children, then?
Some do, but many are fortunate enough to employ domestic servants to tend to our everyday chores. These domestic servants are usually working-class women. I'll tell ya, I'm hoping to get one of these domestic servants soon. It will take a huge load off of my hands.
It's quite interesting.
Oh, I should also mention that all these labor-saving devices that have been invented really benefit the lives of all of us, not just those of us in the middle class.
How exactly did they benefit you?
Well, with all this new machinery, more products are now being produced rapidly than ever at a much lower cost. My family is now able to afford more luxuries that we could never afford before the Industrial Revolution. Also, the middle-class families moved out to the suburbs to escape the grim and grit of the urban tenements. We also now have more time to enjoy some of the finer things in life, like arts and entertainment, education, and of course, church.
So, when you are at home, please describe for us what a typical day may be for you.
My husband typically leaves quite early to travel to the city for work as a factory manager at a shoelace making factory. My young children also leave early to go to school. I must say, it is so nice to have children between the ages of 5 and 10 that are now mandated to go to school. Education is so important, you know.
Oh yes, I wholeheartedly agree.
As soon as I see my family off for the day, I begin preparing dinner for the evening, as our cooking ovens were a bit slow to cook the meal. While dinner is cooking, I sweep the floors and wash out the water closet. Between breaks of my typical chores, I will knit clothing for the boys, mend stockings, and haul buckets of water, as well as freshen the house with different Victorian decorations.
I know you didn't have automatic washing machines back then, so what did you use to wash your clothes?
A washing machine? Oh, that would be true luxury. Our washing process could take up to several days at a time.
Oh, how dreadful. How was it done?
Usually I designate Wednesdays as washing days, and the housewives of our neighborhood get together for the chore. We scrub the clothing with soda crystals, rinse, and repeat many times until the garments are clean. Then they are hung to dry. Unfortunately, the natural oils are stripped from our hands by the end of the process. Because of this unsightly condition, we too must make our own homemade cosmetics and lotions. We typically only wash our undergarments though, for outerwear is too much of a burden.
Wow, that is quite a complex schedule.
Indeed. I must say, those of you in the 21st century smell much better overall than those of us back in the early 1900s.
Oh well, thank you. How has the Industrial Revolution changed the middle class job opportunities for those women that did work outside their homes?
Well, the Industrial Revolution has resulted in several new job opportunities for middle-class women. Some of us are employed as teachers, medical professionals like nurses, secretaries, and seamstresses. The relatively respectable wages we earn certainly help secure our financial well-being.
Seems that perhaps the Industrial Revolution helped improve the lives of middle-class families more than it helped any other class.
I tend to agree. Indeed, the Industrial Revolution was quite beneficial for the middle-class women.
Well, Elizabeth, thank you so very much for joining our talk show, Back in Time, and sharing your experience as a middle-class wife and mother.
Of course, dear, the pleasure was mine.
Thanks.
Thank you for having me today.
Finally, we would like to introduce our guest, Bertha Clodwell, a distinguished upper-class woman during England's Industrial Revolution. Good afternoon, Bertha. So kind of you to join us today.
Good afternoon to you as well.
So, Bertha, can you please tell our audience who made up England's upper class before the Industrial Revolution?
Well, Hina, prior to the Industrial Revolution, England's upper class were the land-owning aristocratic nobility. With the changes of the Industrial Revolution, we became the very wealthy industrial and business families of England. Our fathers and husbands have the money necessary to purchase the expensive machinery and land to build enormous factories and run the major corporations. As women, though, we are not at all involved in the family business.
Interesting. What do the upper-class women do then? Do you work?
Oh, how silly of you! Of course we do not work. We are respectable ladies, and after all, we do not work. I suppose we do spend much of our time remaining idle. We are meant to be elegant and decorative symbols of our husband's wealth and prestige. We have many servants to attend to the chores of the household, as well as a governess to teach and care for our children. You know, a man's success can be judged by the number of servants he has working in his household.
What do you do to fill your days then?
Quite simply, we manage our household by overseeing the servants as they perform their duties. We also organize and host extravagant dinner parties and host social balls to socialize our husband's companion, as well as to promote his prestige among his peers.
So then, all of your time is spent watching servants work and planning dinner parties and balls?
No, not all the time. We also make and receive social calls during the day, which is a great opportunity to catch up on gossip and forge friendships with other upper-class women. Sometimes we shop for expensive gowns and fine household furnishings. Occasionally, some of us are involved in charitable activities. During England season, we attend many balls with other socialites, as well as horse races, rowing races, theatre, opera, and week-long visits to friends' country estates, where the men go out to hunt, fish, and shoot, and the women socialize over tea.
Wow, it sure sounds like you lead a wonderful life.
It may seem that a woman's lives are easy and secure, but this is not always the case. Women may not own any land or have any independent wealth, nor inherit any land or money from deceased family members. Consequently, many upper-class women find themselves suddenly alone and poverty-stricken upon the death of their husband or father.
That doesn't seem fair that women don't have the same rights as men.
I agree completely. In fact, with the start of the Industrial Revolution came the beginning of the women's suffrage movement. It has become somewhat fashionable for the upper-class women to start the feminism movement for men's rights, despite the protests from their spouses.
Well, you'll be glad to know that your effort to secure equal rights for women pays off in the future. You have mentioned the role of married women in upper-class society. But what are the responsibilities of unmarried upper-class women?
Unmarried women live with their fathers or brothers who act as their caregivers until they are wed. The main responsibility of a single young woman who has come of age is to find a suitable husband within the upper-class society. She must make herself as attractive as possible and be pure and chaste, with her behavior reflecting her strong morals and impeccable manners and etiquette. During England season, she attends many balls to dance with eligible bachelors and hopefully catch the eye of one who will make her his wife.
Last question, Bertha. Do you think that the Industrial Revolution dramatically changed the lives of upper-class women?
I believe that the changes resulting from the Industrial Revolution changed the lives of upper-class women from the least when compared with the impact of the lives of middle-class and working-class women. We were already members of England's wealthy noble families, and although the Industrial Revolution did increase our family's wealth, I am not certain that the difference in our lifestyles was significant. Perhaps we've hired a few more servants, or purchased a few more gowns, or even bought another country home. But overall, the other classes of women experienced more dramatic changes to their lifestyles than we did.
Thank you so much, Bertha, for joining our show today and sharing with us the experiences of upper-class women during the era of England's Industrial Revolution.
You are very welcome.
Well, this concludes today's episode of Back in Time. I'd like to again thank each of our lovely young women who traveled here today from England's 1800s to share their impressions of life for women in the working class, middle class, and upper class during the Industrial Revolution. Please join us next time when we visit with Sergeant James and explore World War I. Good day, everyone!